Hello. On today's video, I will cover an affordable smart plug that I think will be interesting for most of you that try to find smart home solutions and have the goal of networking or at least having better control on how energy is used for various purposes. So today the focus will be on this Gosund, smart plug. So let me show you how the device actually looks. And of course, we will be doing an unpacking and I will present some useful aspects along the way. So first of all, what is this smart plug? It's a Wi-Fi smart plug. Of course, the model presented over here is not necessarily the model I will be showing you, but it's very close. It's actually the same thing. I just wanted to show that two products that look roughly the same are compatible and can work very well. So first of all, you may be wondering about the price because ultimately this is what makes such a Wi-Fi plug affordable. Well, the price is around 10 euros or 12 US dollars. You may find it at a higher price or a lower price depending on circumstance. First of all, why I am showing you two packages? First of all, because there are two different devices and I want to show to you the differences between them. But there is also another reason. It's the fact that when you're buying a two-pack, you're actually receiving a better deal than when you buy a single device alone. So first of all, what can this device do? Well, just about anything you would expect for a modern smart device, meaning that you can control it with your phone very well. It's compatible with Google Assistant, Alexa, as you can see on the picture, and also other applications that are used for smart home control, which means probably smart home and other applications that you can find on the Google Play App Store or on the Apple one. What this device can do, what this device cannot do. Well, this device can turn, obviously, just about any consumer you have plugged in it. It's obviously an European model, as you can guess from the way it looks. I'm pretty sure that there are similar models available on the American market or on other countries around the world, because I'm pretty sure there are enough being manufactured and the market is very large. What this device also can do, but it's not presented over here, although it's very important, they can be controlled remotely, of course, that's not the issue, but you can also have an indication of the current power consumption on the plug. And I think this is very useful because it may replace for certain purposes plug-in energy saving meters and other devices that you use in order to check how much energy your consumer uses. So if you're going to plug, I don't know, an oil electric heater, or if you're going to plug another device that you use for heating, or just about any consumer, I don't know, vacuum cleaner or anything else, you're going to have an indication of how much power this device consumes. However, it's good that it's not mentioned on the package that it has this capability because obviously readings are not very fast, which means that you would probably have to wait around 1 minute in order to have an updated reading, which is important to know because it still does not replace for all intents and purposes an energy saving meter. On the other side, the fact that you can have a smart application on your phone and this application also allows certain features that I'm going to show you a bit later means that you have a lot of interesting information and automation capabilities. For instance, think about seeing a history of your consumption each day, which is a very important aspect if you're going to try to make the best of the current energy crisis situation. So let me show you how the device looks and have a bit of a discussion later on. So first of all, the product that you're going to see is quite well manufactured. Of course, it's a Chinese brand, and you may not expect a top quality that you may see on others, but I think it's not very far from that. So first of all, let's look upon it. The package is quite simple. Of course, you can see on the picture that this particular product had 2 additional USB ports. This is useful when you're going to power devices that require a 5-volt power on function. And of course, what is even more important is that you can switch the USB ports independently of the main plug, or the main socket to be more precise. Alright, so this is how the device looks. It's quite nice. I think that the plastic can survive quite well certain smashes. I have not placed it in this condition enough to be sure that it's very reliable, but I think it has good capability. I have been using for some time these smart plugs, so I can clearly say that certain features are going to be very interesting and others not, just as well as its reliability. Of course, reliability is best measured after some years of use. In this case, we are only talking about a few months, 3 months to be more precise. So first of all, you can have on the device a power on button that can independently power on and off your switch. This is useful if you don't have in a particular place the ability to have a network, a Wi-Fi network, or if you want to have the ability of turning on and off independently the device when needed. So this is a very useful feature. Just about any smart plug has this capability, so there is nothing new. The power rating. This is a 16 amp smart plug. There are devices that have, I think, around 10 amps or something like that. But I think in general it's best to have these smart plugs with the highest current rating. Whether you're going to use or not, that rating is up to you, but it's important that the switching device inside is rated for that power. So, and also for the reason that you can have all your devices using the same specifications. So you know that if you are going to replace one with the other, it's very easy. You can see the security screws over here. The caps on them are triangular in shape, so they're much more difficult to, it's much more difficult to take apart the smart plug, but it's not impossible if you have the curiosity or there is a need for that. I don't know how much serviceable parts you can find inside, so I don't know if it's going to be useful or not. What can I say is that the construction is quite robust. In fact, it was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting particularly this level of quality for such a low price, but I think it's entirely desirable and it's a welcome situation. Alright, so this is the device, and on this side, as shown in the picture, it would have had the 2 USB ports. The 2 USB ports, of course, can be switched together, but independently of the main circuit. Next, what is important to note? First of all, where the product is being manufactured. Well, we should not have too high expectations. Ultimately, as mentioned, it's a Chinese brand, and the product is clearly built to specifications and is going to be manufactured in there. It's Shenzhen Kuko Smart Technology Co. Limited. So the product is built in Shenzhen, which is a region or a province where most of the products are being built in China, so there is no surprise. Compatibility is quite relaxed, I would say, Android 4.4, so it doesn't require very new or the latest Android phones or tablets in order to work. Existing Wi-Fi network, of course, is only 2.4 gigahertz. In fact, most devices that I have seen are able only to connect to the 2.4 gigahertz network. The ones that could on 5 gigahertz are not known to me at this moment. So this should be known, but it's expected in most situations. 5 volts, 2.1 amps. This means that you can have a rough capability of 10 watt power output on the USB ports. This should be enough for most applications, but some higher current demanding ones are not going to be covered by this. But still, I think that it's nice to have this option. And you see on this side various ways in order to control the device. So voice control, of course, Alexa, Google Assistant, if you have the necessary devices and you the device, this smart plug is going to be connected and configured for the network. App control, true. Scheduled control, it's the same, true. Family share your devices to your family members. This is a useful feature if you are going to have such a device or other smart devices and you want to offer controls, but this is again due to the application that you're going to have. In the application you can control various parameters. Energy monitor, analyze the device's real-time and historical power consumption. Real time, no, that is a mistake, that is a stretch. It's not real time, it's done by polling it every couple of seconds, I think around the 1 minute. USB charging ports. So energy monitor is mentioned over here, but why I mentioned the fact that it's not necessarily presented, because as you see over here, there is no mention of such a feature on this package. So as said, it's not a problem if it's being presented or not. The fact is that the same capability on the standard smart plug that doesn't have USB ports, or the ones that have USB ports, is presented. So you're not going to be left out with this option. And the manual is quite simple. Actually, it focuses on how you can control the device with nothing spectacular about it. You can find it, it's on multiple languages are covered. It's quite simple. You need to install an application. The Gosund app is going to be the favored one, but I can tell you clearly, and I will show you that other apps are supported, and perhaps this is better since you can have other devices that may not be compatible with that particular application, or if you like that particular application you're using, you are covered. So this is the small manual. I'm not going to cover too many ways of using the product, because I think that just showing you how it's going to be presented in the interfaces, it will be enough for these purposes. So without further ado, I will be not using this particular socket, but I have others that are already on the system, and the application on my phone is going to show you this. So first of all, this is the general way in which the application looks. It's smart home, and I will be showing you such a smart plug device. When you are going to add such a device into the network, you first have to long press this button, or just leave it as is if it's the first time it's going to be plugged on the system. And then of course you're going to press add device and then wait for the device detection to happen. Yes, you have to turn on location. It's not important for this situation, but if you are if you're adding a real device to the network, you have to turn on location and Bluetooth. This is actually required for all devices. There is nothing new about that. And then you're going to wait until the device is being present over this area where detected devices are, and then you can add it to your set of devices that you can see on this interface. Let's say that we have done such a thing, and right now let's see how you can control it. As you have noticed over here, there is a button that is presented when the device is turned on or off. You can create a scene, which means that an automation that is going to be triggered when a particular condition is going to happen, and this is probably the most important part. You can have various ways of controlling it, either using other devices. So for instance, I don't know, you have a temperature sensor, and if the temperature is going to fall below a certain value, you can turn on the smart socket. Or you can have something that is based upon a specific time of the day that is going to be reached, and then the socket will be turned on or off depending on circumstance. You can also have access to the device just by turning it on and off instantly. This is the quickest way to do so. Using a timer, and then you can set a schedule on how the device will be turned on or off depending on various times of the day. You can see the instant power consumption. I'm going to show you this feature right now because I think it's important. Let's turn on and then wait until the screen will be updated. Unfortunately, you cannot do anything. Look, it's less than half a minute, but still it's going to be some time. So you have to keep that in mind when you're using such a plug. So as you can see, it still has not updated. It should have dropped to 0. Right now it dropped to 0. So as you can see, there is a very long delay between the moment you can see the first reading and the actual situation is going to be assessed in the application. I wasn't expecting such a plug to have instant power consumption indication. However, I think that this is unfortunate that you don't have a specific amount of time that you clearly know is going to take until you will see such an indication. It may be due to the application, but I'm not entirely sure if this is the circumstance, if it's not polling fast enough or the device does not present such an information over the network as quickly as possible. I don't know which is the correct way, and unfortunately I don't have the capability of finding out. However, you have to understand that the same thing happens with different applications. So even if I use the actual application supplied by the manufacturer, it's still going to be the same situation. The interface is slightly different, but ultimately screen updates for consumption happen just with the same amount of time. So this means that you have to understand that this feature is an extra, and it may not be particularly working as you hope. And then you have other settings that you can configure, for instance using a child lock, which is useful in many circumstances, showing the status on the socket, which may be useful in various circumstances, and of course remembering the last position or just starting switched off when it's going to be plugged in, or if you have power stopped being delivered to the device due to a blackout or any other power interruption. Okay, and I think that this covers most of what you would expect. Of course, you can change the name, that's not an issue. You can find also the device information, and I think this covers most of what you would expect regarding the device. You can also, of course, remove it if needed. So if I'm thinking about the experience of using such a device, and I will also show to you the history, the energy consumption history. If you're going to press more, you're going to see that you have 2 months, and sorry for getting back. You can see that consumption is being reflected on just about every day the device has been used. In this case, the device has not been used for a long time, so there are no readings in various days. However, this can be very useful to track consumption, and if you are going to have this requirement, the device is going to be entirely useful. So, getting back, do I think that this smart socket is useful and it actually does everything it states? I think that the answer is a resounding yes, and especially you have to think about the price. Having such a smart plug at around 10 euros or 12 US dollars, and sometimes cheaper than that, I think it's a wonderful opportunity. Even if the device, I know, is not manufactured in an European country or in America or any other country that still has a good stance on democracy and human values, I still think that if you need such a device and you accept the fact that it's not going to be a situation that will be like that for a long time, meaning that there will be alternatives, I think that you can have a very good result using these devices. Of course, they are not professional devices, and I'm not having any sort of expectation regarding this. They are consumer devices, but I think they are very good consumer devices. So unless this smart plug will suddenly have issues 1 or 2 years down the line, I still think that it's going to be highly useful and a very good investment opportunity for persons that are thinking about monitoring their consumption and having all sorts of smart home applications. So in the current situation, I would say that it's the best product for this price that can be had. Of course, you have to consider some minor disadvantages. This design may not fit very well on some sockets, which means that you may have to find multiple plugs or any sort of connection solution that may be different from the one you would expect. Because some sockets can be quite narrow and the space may be limited. So this is a disadvantage. On the other hand, and there are some more compact designs that are available on the market. But if this is not an issue, I think that it's the cheapest product you can find with very good specifications and very good capability. My only concerns are about the long-term reliability of such a device, because ultimately they are complex devices, and about the fact that they may have certain connection issues that I'm not aware of. In my case, connection has been quite reliable, but I don't have problems with the Wi-Fi network in general. So I'm not entirely sure what can be the result of you using such a device in your home. Please keep in mind that network coverage is going to be very important, and also not having devices that are going to be particularly troublesome to start and stop. You can use it certainly in order to start and stop an air conditioning device or any other device that draws a lot of current, but I'm not entirely sure how this will fare in the long run. In terms of heat emissions, I think that it stands quite well. There is a bit of overall heating that takes place when the device is being turned on, but I think it's nothing particularly troubling. And in general, this amount of heat release is not going to increase when the device is going to be plugged on for a long time, or when it's going to have currents that are around 10 amps. I'm not entirely sure what happens with 16 amps. I have not tested up to that limit, and I would not like to test it up to the limit because this is not going to be particularly my application. And I still think that if you want to have a plug that is going to withstand 16 amps, this is not the solution you should be looking at. In general, it's well to have devices that are much better built and that could take that amount of current reliably. So I'm not expecting this to be having major issues, but I would not trust entirely the power rating that is being presented over here. And of course, you have to think about the fact that the product is not certified. for being sold in the European market. As you can see, even if this indication is present over here, I'm pretty sure that there was no actual intensive test or comprehensive test that was being done in order to ensure the safety of using such a product at such high currents. And I am skeptical of that. It may be true, but I am skeptical it will be truly reliable. So I think that this covers it quite well. I think it's a good investment. Again, I hope that you will have a good understanding of such products, and you may be seeing the usefulness of buying them. And I think that it's a very good moment to buy such a product, because the market has reached a level of maturity. That means a lot of products are available on the market, and there is also some time that has passed since they were introduced. So designs have been improved in various areas. And I think that the usefulness is very high because, as you can see, the current energy crisis asks us to be very creative about how we use energy, and we must make the best use of a specific amount of energy that we are able to pay every month. So taking this into account, I think it's very useful. And of course, you can place it from one spot to another in order to turn various devices on and off. I still think that it's the most important for devices that consume a lot of power, but for various instances where you have to control, I don't know, sprinkler systems or any sort of additional consumer that may be turned on and off depending on various circumstances, I think it's a very good value for the money. So I hope you find this video interesting. Please subscribe to the channel. I will not be focusing particularly on smart home products, but there are still some aspects that I would like to present. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching.